Hi everyone. Today I'm doing another Folio Society unboxing. I got myself this as a present because I had to do something I really didn't want to do, and when I have to do something I don't want to do but have to do, I usually bribe myself by getting myself a present. And I had a money off code for Folio, so I got myself this. This is one of the um, most famous pieces of English literature, and a defining example of the Gothic horror genre. I am speaking, of course, of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, or to use its full title, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. First published in 1886. This is actually, thank you, Irma. This is a reprint of the Folio Society edition, first published in 1948 and illustrated by Mervyn Peake. That's the Mervyn Peake of Gormenghast fame, of course. These unboxings are always very exciting for me, and then getting through all the wrapping, it is really like unwrapping a present. There we have. So we just have a plain black cardboard sleeve in the spine. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. In the cover, and we've got it half bound here in black and half bound in a sort of cream gold cloth. That's a very tight spine. And then we've got the full title, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And then we've got these wonderful two-tone illustrations inside by Mervyn Peake. As I said, the Folio Society edition, first published in 1948. Now, Jekyll and Hyde is probably one of the most famous stories, absolute classic of English literature. I don't think there's anyone who doesn't know what Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is about. Even people who have not read the book, who have not seen the movies or adaptations, everyone knows what Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is about, which to me cements its place as a true classic, that it is in the public consciousness. The words Jekyll and Hyde have entered the vernacular to describe someone who seemingly seems nice on the outside but hides an evil persona on the inside. That is the influence this book has had. Supposedly written by Robert Louis Stevenson after he had a nightmare, which he was woken up in the middle of, and then wrote it down. The story goes that he destroyed the first draft of the story and started again, but that might be apocryphal. Everyone, of course, knows what the secret is with Jekyll and Hyde now, which is interesting. I mean, everyone who knows Jekyll and Hyde knows that Jekyll and Hyde are, in fact, the same person. Dr. Jekyll takes the formula and turns into the monstrous Mr. Hyde, and then, but if you were reading this book for the first time in 1886, you wouldn't have known until the narrator, who is John Utterson, until he finds out that Jekyll and Hyde are the same person. The reader would not have known that Jekyll and Hyde are the same person. So it was a twist in the story. Nowadays, that twist is gone, because everyone knows Jekyll and Hyde are the same person. kind of like the twist in the Planet of the Apes movie, the original Planet of the Apes movie, where he discovers it was Earth the whole time. Everyone knows that Planet of the Apes was Earth the whole time. Even people who haven't seen the movie, that twist has disappeared. It is no longer a twist. Here we have Mr. Hyde looking in the mirror with his clothes that are far too big for him. This book has been adapted into so many different versions and movies and plays and inspired many other characters. The Incredible Hulk probably wouldn't exist if not for Jekyll and Hyde. Really interesting, though, in a lot of movies, such as League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Van Helsing, they tend to portray Hyde as a sort of huge, monstrous, super strong Hulk-like figure. But if in the book, he's nothing like that. He's just an incredibly horrid, little, ugly, evil man who acts out Dr. Jekyll's worst impulses. These wonderful two-tone illustrations by Mervyn Peake. I really look forward to reading this again. I had a paperback version when I was much younger and enjoyed it then. No illustrations. I'm looking forward to rereading it in this illustrated version. It's showing that the Folio Society, going all the way back to 1948, have always been producing quality, and they have not slipped in the remaining decades.